At 9:14 on a rainy Tuesday morning, 72-year-old Linda Walker answered a phone call that would erase nearly everything she and her husband had saved over 43 years. And the terrifying part? The caller already knew her Medicare number, her address, her doctor's name, and the last 4 digits of her bank account.
Mrs. Walker, if we don't verify your account today, your Medicare coverage may be suspended.
Linda thought it was a mistake. By sunset, her checking account was empty. But this story was never just about money. It was about fear, trust, loneliness, and one sentence no senior ever wants to hear. You may lose your health care coverage. Tonight, we're following the exact scam that investigators say exploded across America in 2026. And what happened to Linda is happening to thousands of retirees right now, because the people behind these calls don't sound like criminals anymore. They sound helpful, professional, safe. Linda lived alone in Dayton, Ohio. Her husband, Frank, had died 3 years earlier after a long battle with heart disease. Since then, every bill, every insurance form, every hospital visit had become her responsibility. And secretly, she was terrified of making one wrong decision. Her daughter Melissa called twice a week. Her grandson Tyler helped reset her passwords sometimes. But most days, Linda sat alone at the kitchen table, surrounded by paperwork she barely understood. Then, the phone rang. The caller ID said Medicare Benefits Office. Not unknown, not blocked, official, fake agent.
We've detected fraudulent activity connected to your Medicare file.
That sentence changed everything, because seniors in 2026 were already hearing nonstop warnings: healthcare fraud, identity theft, benefit suspensions, insurance verification scams. So when Linda heard fraudulent activity, she panicked, exactly the way the scammers wanted. But the real tramp started long before the phone call. It started with trust. 3 months earlier, Linda had filled out a free Medicare comparison form online. One harmless-looking website, bright blue logo, American flag, smiling seniors. She never realized the site wasn't Medicare at all. It was a lead generation network selling senior information to overseas scam groups. Her phone number entered a system, then her age, prescription history, insurance provider, every detail quietly collected. And by the time the fake Medicare agent called, they knew enough to sound real. Fake agent.
You visited Dr. Patterson last month, correct?
Linda froze. How could he know that? Narrator. That was the moment her fear became trust, and trust became permission. Fake agent.
We're sending a secure verification code to protect your benefits.
Linda hesitated. Then the caller said something subtle, something psychologically devastating.
Mrs. Walker, I don't want you losing coverage over a misunderstanding.
Not aggressive, not threatening. Concerned. That's what made it work. Scammers in 2026 had evolved. They studied empathy, speech pacing, senior psychology. Some even trained with AI-generated scripts built specifically for retirees. Linda read the code aloud, then another, and without realizing it, she had just approved access to her online banking profile. The first person who sensed something was wrong was her daughter, Melissa. Melissa noticed Linda sounded distracted during dinner that night, nervous, embarrassed. Melissa asked a simple question.
Mom, why are you checking your bank app every 5 minutes?
Linda smiled weakly.
Oh, Medicare was fixing something today.
Melissa's stomach tightened immediately because 2 weeks earlier, a coworker's father had lost $18,000 in a healthcare scam. Melissa,
Mom, who exactly called you?
Linda paused. And suddenly, the room felt very quiet. That silence, that's the moment many victims realize something is wrong, but emotionally, they still want to believe everything is okay. At 11:42 p.m., Linda's phone lit up. Transfer complete. Then another, and another. $4,800, $7,200, $11,000, 43 years of careful saving, moving out of her account in minutes. Linda called the number back. Disconnected. She called the bank. Fraud department closed until morning. She called Melissa crying.
Melissa, I think I did something terrible.
Melissa drove across town in the rain, and when she arrived, Linda was sitting alone in the dark kitchen, still holding the phone, like somehow the nightmare could still be reversed. The next morning, Detective Carla Nguyen from Elder Financial Crimes arrived at the bank, and what she told Linda was horrifying. Detective Nguyen said,
"You were targeted professionally."
This wasn't random. The scammers specifically targeted widows, retirees, recent hospital patients, adults over 65 living alone, because fear works better when people feel isolated. Investigators later discovered the call originated through layered international routing systems, almost impossible to trace, and most stolen money gone within hours. Linda asked the question nearly every victim asks.
Will I get it back?
Detective Nguyen didn't answer immediately, and that silence said everything. But losing money wasn't the hardest part. The hardest part was shame. Linda stopped answering calls, stopped attending church lunches, stopped sleeping normally. Because deep down, she believed intelligent people weren't supposed to fall for scams. But Detective Nguyen told her something important.
These criminals rehearse this every day. You experienced this once.
That sentence changed Linda, because for the first time, she stopped seeing herself as foolish and started seeing what really happened, a professionally engineered emotional attack. 3 months later, Linda agreed to speak at a local senior safety meeting. Her hands trembled holding the microphone. Then she looked around the room. Nearly every face looked afraid. Linda,
I thought scams only happened to careless people, but they don't attack carelessness anymore. They attack fear.
The room went silent, because everyone understood exactly what she meant. Fear of losing health care, losing independence, becoming confused, making one irreversible mistake. And in 2026, those fears had become a billion-dollar industry. Linda eventually recovered part of the money. Not all of it, but enough to survive. Melissa now helps manage her accounts. Tyler installed fraud alerts on every device she owns. And Linda never answers unexpected Medicare calls anymore. But sometimes, late at night, she still replays the voice in her head. Professional, patient, kind. The voice that stole her retirement savings. And maybe that's the most frightening part of all. The people targeting seniors today don't sound dangerous. They sound trustworthy. So if a phone call ever makes you panic, slow down. Call someone you trust. Because fear makes people move fast, and scammers know it. If this story felt familiar or reminded you of someone you love, share it with them. It might save more than money. Fade out.